Don't ever correct me. Old dirty looking woman, don't ever correct me. Leave my path before I push you to the ground.
The old woman looked at Ya and murmured a curse, watching her as she walked away with pride and arrogance. The villagers watched in disbelief as she slapped an old woman for no reasons. Ya lived with her poor mother and father near the village shrine. Ya was so rude and arrogant. And not just arrogant, she had a face that looks like someone who had attempted a face surgery and didn't finish it. The villagers never liked her because of her behavior. They said the spirit punished her for her parents' crime. Whenever she passed through the village square, the women would say, "Who will marry this one?" turning their faces in disgust. The men were not nice either. They would say, "I pity the man who will marry this arrogant and ugly thing." Some would even say, if they dash her for free with a plot of land, they will still not marry her. Ya carried herself like she was the queen of the village. She was never bothered by what the villagers said. She saw herself as the pride of the village. Even when the maidens gossip about her, saying, "We will all marry the good men," only the drunkards and mad people will ask for your hand in marriage. Ya would simply say, "Marriage is not in my dictionary. Who marriage helps?" She just told herself with confidence. Though the villagers whispered behind her, their words never sank into Ya's heart. Every dawn, she strutted across the dusty paths as though the sun rose just to illuminate her presence. Her mother would call after her, begging her to soften her tone, to humble herself, to mend her ways, but Ya only waved her hand dismissively. That morning, after slapping the old woman without a hint of remorse, she lifted her chin and kept walking. Children scurried out of her way, clutching their mother's cloths. The market women paused mid-sale, watching her with a mixture of fear and irritation. Even the goats stopped chewing, as though sensing the tension that followed her like a shadow. Near the shrine path, her father sat carving a piece of wood. He looked up as Ya approached, her steps loud, her pride louder. "Ya," he said quietly, "you walked through the village today like the gods owe you tribute." "And they do," she replied, brushing dust from her wrapper. "Look at me. I am not like these villagers who have accepted mediocrity." Her father sighed deeply, the kind of sigh that carried both exhaustion and resignation. "One day, Ya, the world will show you that beauty of heart weighs more than beauty of face." She scoffed. "Father, spare me the wisdom. If the world does not value me, then the world is blind." Later that day, the gossip grew louder. At the well, the maidens gathered in a tight circle, their voices hushed but excited. Ya approached, bucket in hand, her presence slicing through their chatter. "Ah, so you still stand there talking about me?" Ya said, staring them down. "Is my life feeding any of you?" One of the maidens, Abena, stepped forward. "We only say what everyone sees. You behave as though you are above all of us." "And I am," Ya answered without blinking. The maidens exchanged glances, some fearful, some amused, others annoyed, but none dared speak again. Ya dipped her bucket into the well with sharp, angry movements, sending ripples across the water. As she lifted the bucket, she caught her reflection. The unevenness of her features, the roughness of her skin, the sharpness of her jaw, it was all there. The villagers often whispered that the gods had carved her face in anger, leaving the work unfinished. But Ya refused to see flaws. Instead, she saw uniqueness, something that set her apart. When she returned home, her mother was peeling cassava. "Ya," her mother began softly, "they say you slapped old Maame Koko today." "And so," Ya replied, "she blocked my path. She is old enough to be your grandmother. Then she should know better than to stand in my way." Her mother dropped the knife, frustration finally breaking through her gentle nature. Why must you always fight the whole world? Can you not live peacefully with people? Ya shrugged. Let them learn to accept me. I will not bend for anyone. Even evening brought no calm. As the village prepared for nightfall, whispers continued to flow through the air like drifting smoke. Men sitting under the baobab tree joked loudly. Her mouth is sharper than the hunter's blade, one laughed. And her heart colder than river storms, another added. The third man shook his head. Imagine waking up beside that face every morning. The gods forbid. Their laughter echoed through the square. But Ya, passing nearby, pretended not to hear. She walked with her head high, hips swaying with confidence that bordered on defiance. Inside her chest, however, a small tightness formed a feeling she refused to name. Still, she kept walking, dust rising behind her like a small storm. The shrine drums began to beat in the distance as dusk settled. The smell of burning herbs drifted into the air, mixing with the scent of cooking fires. The village slowly grew quieter, but Ya's name still floated on the tongues of many. Some spoke with irritation, some with fear, some with curiosity, but they all spoke. And Ya, returning home with the last light of day, whispered to herself again, I am the pride of this village. One day they will see it. She repeated it like a chant, letting the words wrap around her like armor as the shadows lengthened and the night crept in. That night, as Ya slept, the moon hid behind a thick veil of clouds. The wind whispered through the trees behind their small compound, carrying with it the faint echo of the words the old woman had murmured after Ya slapped her. No one in the village had heard what she said, but the spirits had,